Hi, it's Sandy Parker and welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to be making a card where we're going to be embossing and coloring the embossing as well as doing some watercoloring on a really lovely orchid stamp. I hope you'll stay tuned and watch. So what we're going to start with is we're going to use this Spellbinders M-Bossabilities EL007. This is one of the embossing folders that you get two patterns out of. You can turn it inside out or right side in, whatever suits your fancy. And I'm going to be using a pattern. Hold on, I got to make sure I know which one I'm making. I don't know if you can see this pattern, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to use this Wisteria Wonder ink, and I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper underneath. Ooh, things are going amok. The reason I have that O in there is that's how I know in my storage system how I find the embossing folder. I have one folder that has embossed images, and then it says like O, and then I have this folder, and if you can see I have A, B, C, and these are my big embossing folders. So I have them stored so that I can, in one folder I can look at a design and see which one I like, and in the other folder I can actually find the embossing folder. I hope that helps you in case you need a embossing folder system for bigger folders. Now those are not my little embossing folders, those go in a different system. So anyway, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to take this Wisteria Wonder and I'm going to lightly go over this image. Now this is the raised part of the embossing folder, not the lower part. Hopefully that made sense to you. And I'm going to go over it enough so that we really have a lot of ink on it, so that that the ink will transfer. That's the best I think I can do. Then I have a piece of cardstock that is 4 3/4 inches by 6 3/4 inches. So it'll go in a 5 by 7 card, and I'm going to lay it in there so I get pattern on the whole thing, if that makes sense. Holding it in place till I shut it, because you don't want to move that once you got it in there, secure and for good. I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine, but you can see this is a much thicker embossing folder than you normally would have, so you have to use special plates for this so that you don't end up breaking your Vagabond. My Vagabond is the first version, and if anything goes into it and gets stuck, it stays there secure and for good and never comes out. So I have to be really, really careful when I put things in mine. So let me run this through and I'll be back in just a minute. So I think I told you that this is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and that I'm putting it on a base that's just a little bit bigger, and that would be 4 7/8 by 6 7/8, so that I can put it on a 5 by 7 card base. So this would be my card base, like that. So let's glue this bad boy down to the first level. And when you're using an embossing folder and when it's really embossed, where you have a lot of different levels to your paper, you're better off using a wet glue, because that'll hold it down. And by holding it down, I mean you're going to have it move if you use regular like tear tape or like a tape runner, ATG gun, you name it. You don't want to use it with this, because as I said, it'll move for you and you do not want it to move. That's our goal here, is keep our card together once we mail it. We want to make sure our card goes in the mail and arrives in one complete piece. Plus, the other thing that's nice about using wet glue is you'll be able to make sure that your image is straight. You can move it a little bit if you have to. There we have it. I think it looks kind of good on that black background. So there's my black background, and I don't know if I want to glue it down yet. I'm going to be using this stamp set, which is a penny black set called Gentle Whisper. That is a 040-331. I think I'm going to go with these Derwent watercolor pencils, and I'll give you the numbers of the ones I'm going to play with in case you have this set. I'm going to use Light Violet 26, Blue Violet Lake 27, Dark Violet 25, Imperial Purple 23. Then for my stem, I'm going to use Brown Ochre 57. Then for my leaves, I'm going to be using Olive Green 51, Cedar Green 50, and May Green 48. I made that number up for a second. And what I'm going to be doing with these is I'm going to be using a brush, and I'm going to be wetting. But the first thing I want to do, I'm using watercolor paper for my stamping. Okay, then I'm going to use some of my darkest color on the outline, just a little bit here and there. And again, these are watercolor pencils. You can also use your photo, and I'm going to put my photo right there for now so you can see it. So you kind of know. Wait, I'll flip it over so you get the bigger one. Bigger version. Keep in mind, this is backwards from what I'm doing here. Alright, let's give this a try. Let's see what we get. Ooh, pretty. Okay. Then I'm going to take my brush and just kind of move the paint around a little bit. I like to move my paper when I'm doing this so that I end up with a nice clean edge, and if I don't turn it, what I end up with is a weird edge because I can't see it right, or I can't move my wrist in the right way. And if you have issues with your wrist or your hands and you don't have good dexterity like me, it's really important that you move the paper. The more you move it, the better you're going to have, your image is going to turn out. Okay. Now I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to outline my leaf in this green so that we have a cleaner edge. that's our leaves for now. I think I'm going to wet our flower and see if we can get more to come out from it. Let's see if we can get something to come out of the flowers. I think I've got a lot of pigment on it. It just doesn't seem like it wants to play. Okay. Okay, we're going to put it back in. You could, if you wanted to, you could flatten that out with an iron. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to take my cleaning sponge and I'm just going to wipe off my image because I don't want a bunch of this transferring it back onto my picture, because I'm going to stamp over it with a stamp. I decided to play with this underneath where my flowers are going to be, and I liked how just by putting a little bit of water here and there that it made the background pinkish. So I'm going to just do a little bit of it. I know you're thinking to yourself, ooh, that's gross, but just give me a chance to see if we can make this cute. And if we can't, then, you know, I can always redo the background. And this is just my Stampin' Up ink. It's not any special ink that I'm liquefying here. What do you think? I kind of like it. I'm all about having this little pop of something weird in the background. Alright, I'm going to dry it up. I've never seen anybody else do that, but, you know, why not? Why not try it, right? Okay, let me do this. I'm going to let this set for a second, and I'm going to go find a sentiment that I want to put on here, and I'll be back with that in just a second. So I took some clear lavender. It's like a chiffon ribbon. I don't know what that material is. That's chiffon. Look at how dirty my fingers are. Holy cow. And I just put it right there in the bottom section of my card, and then I'm going to put a little bit, I should have done this first, but you know me, I don't do anything in the right order. I'm going to put a little runner of glue through the center just to hold it down. Like that. Just so it's in place, you know what I'm saying? And then I stamped this out, thanks for the smile. I thought that was a nice sentiment. And I'm going to put that in the center of my ribbon if I can. Then, and this is my tricky part, and I should have put this under too, I'm going to push this underneath like that. And then I have foam tape underneath it to keep it in place. And then in the inside I stamped thanks for the smile on the outside, and on the inside it says and everything else. Let me just get my little stamperoonie made for you by Sandy Parker. So let's make our envelope. I'm going to be using this, I think it says Triple Delicious Flowers, and this is just a small fern from pegstamps.com. I always put the links down below. for everything I use if I can, and I always write all the information, like a step-by-step instruction, in the information below. In case you wondered, it's there. And then do 3 on the back, and then get some more ink on this thing. I think it needs re-inked. 1 on the front. Better. And then we're going to put some ferns in. Put a little ferny piece there. And a little ferny piece there. And I'll show you how I'm going to fix the problem on this part of the card. Since I didn't stamp the center perfectly, I'll show you how to fix it. Because I like to show you the things that I know how to fix. Clearly, that's one of them I know how to fix if I have to. Now these are my micro brushes that I got from AliExpress. You can get these kind of brushes a lot of places. Or you can use makeup brushes. Or you can use those little eyeshadow brushes. I'm going to try and find one of those to show you. They all work. And then all I'm going to do is color in the problem area. Oh, I almost put it in the green. That would have made it worse. Add a little bit more color to the ones that are having issues on the back. It's not perfect, but it's much better than it was, in case you wondered. Okay. There's our card and our envelope. This card's going to Romania, so I'm hoping that the art on the front won't be a problem. I don't know. I've never had a card come back from overseas that that I've mailed, but there's a first time for everything, and I hope it goes okay. I'm making this for one of my viewers, and I hope he likes it. He asked for a watercolor card, and I did some watercoloring. I hope you enjoyed this, that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please tell your friends about me on social media because you know I love that. And thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.